Hey folks, Damn it Don here, and this is the, what is this, the fourth? Yeah, the fourth Marionette development diary video, and today I really just wanted to go over the Stuffed Guardian. So, the Stuffed Guardian, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's this image of this teddy bear holding a wooden sword and fighting back against this big, like, boogeyman type monster, and that was a lot of some of the inspiration, like standing in constant vigil at the edge of beds and pillows. Stuffed guardians have protected children for as long as darkness has brought fear. Stuffed guardian marionettes are fierce protectors of friends and have a strong sense of defense of the innocent. Usually, stuffed guardians awaken when their child owner needs protection, and the spark of this need causes an awakening. So that's one of the interesting things is you have this stuffed being that is all about protection, all about trying to take care of their child or their owner and being that defensive being. Well, when they do awaken, they get kind of a feeling. They're very zealot. They have a lot of conviction. However, they can develop some unusual coping mechanisms because of it. There's like in the wide world of indifferent injustices, like it says over here, the apparent lack of social fairness. It can be easy for the naivety of a stuffed guardian to fracture, and as they become fractured, depression and disenfranchisement will set in. Like I was once the world to my owner, and now I wander aimlessly. Secretly, I can't help but hope, or can't help hoping to make the world a better place. I stand for the innocent and helpless no matter what. I've seen a lot of ugly, and I have a hard time not lashing out. I have learned the trick to this world. With enough cheer, it's all worth it. Outwardly, I appear confident. Inside, I'm terrified. I'm tired of charity. I only work for a price. So, stuffed guardians, they're tougher, they're more resilient. When they're born out of the need to defend and protect. So, they get a strength score increase of +2. Uh, they're made with durable materials so they can be repaired over time. So they learn the mending cantrip. So you can imagine like this large stuffed guardian that's just covered in rips and tears and big holes, and they just use this mending to slowly start knitting themselves back together and adding patches here and there. So the more they travel, the more they like build up almost like these battle scars of patches and stuff that the mending has caused. Broad build. So stuffed guardians are proficient in the athletic skill because they're tougher than most, and they also count as medium-sized creatures for equipping, wielding, and grappling purposes. So what that means is that instead of a small-sized creature getting disadvantage for using something like a great axe or a great sword, they're still counted as medium creatures for those reasons, and as for grappling because they're so big and lumbering. They're just a stronger breed of the marionettes. One of the downsides of that, as far as in-game balancing is concerned, is you run into this issue where we've had to tear this apart and redo it several times. Now, the grappling for a medium size isn't a big deal, and neither is being proficient in the athletic skill, but the equipment wielding and the reason why this has been kind of a point of contention during development was that characters who wanted to be really cool and really awesome were limited to just using a long sword like a great sword, which would be great and all, except there were some concepts that came into being, like for instance, for flavor reasons, one of the marionettes we had created used a pair of oversized shears. Think of a great sword, but made out of like sewing shears. And for flavor, when they'd crit, they'd open up the shears and like cut somebody. But it didn't work out to have it as just a long sword because of the sheer mass and size and the strength of the stuffed guardian. So we made kind of an accommodation where instead of having stuffed guardians 100% like a medium creature, they still only have a speed of 25, so they're kind of dwarvish in that way, where they have the round kind of lumbering gait, but they have this broad build so that they count as medium creatures because they can grapple with other medium-sized creatures pretty easily, and even large-sized creatures if necessary. So that's kind of where that came from. Now, we did bear in mind that there are some caster classes that don't get much in the way of benefits from this, but that's fine. I mean, there's tons of species out there that don't particularly tailor themselves to any one specific class. And I think that's probably the better design mechanic. I know that there's tons of people who like optimized characters, and there's nothing wrong with optimized play, but I really enjoy playing against type because I've run and played so much throughout the last few decades that to me it seems like optimizing characters, while it's fun and kind of the safe route, and it can make optimizers feel happy because they're doing like the tactically superior thing. And that's cool if you really like kind of like the combat-y, wargamey side of D&D. Personally, I never pick a race or a species for the benefits it's going to give my class. I pick it for what's interesting. So I could totally see a stuffed guardian being a druid or being a bard or being really anything. I love the idea of a marionette druid who's like a stuffed guardian, so it's kind of like this big teddy bear that when it sees something that it needs to wild shape into, it wild shapes into like the stuffed animal version of that creature. So I mean, there's a lot of really fun and interesting things that you could do. Really, I just wanted to point out that the Stuffed Guardian is probably one of the biggest fan favorites because of the whole teddy bear concept. The other ones shine, but the other ones are a little bit more complicated to relate to, and I think since because each person, or every person I've known, including myself, had a Stuffed Guardian of some kind growing up, that it's really easy to relate to. And that's why I saved the best for last. This one's got a special place in everybody's hearts. So, I noticed we're getting quite a few views on these marionettes, and I really appreciate it, especially with our patrons from Patreon and all of the people in the gaming community that have been, taking the time to go through and review this. I would really, really like it if y'all would start also liking and subscribing or commenting saying, hey, that's great, or, you should really consider this, this, and this, because we try to do a lot of development stuff. And one of the things that's coming up next, maybe not tonight because it's Thursday in February, but probably tomorrow night, I'm going to go through and do a big feedback cycle on the personality traits of each of the marionettes. So those are going to get an adjustment period where they're going to be a little bit more balanced as far as neutral, positive, and negative personality quirks, and they're probably going to be rewritten in a way that's a little bit more natural language. So that's what's up next for the marionettes. In the meantime, I'm also going to be recording a few side stories after I do my Roll20 how-to on how to input all of this information into Roll20. And I'll show you how I do it, which may be different than how other DMs do it, but my way makes the most sense to me, so I'm going to show you my way. If you find that it doesn't make sense to you to do it my way, which I understand, because, again, it's just my way, and my way is unique to me, and I'm sure there's probably a few, I probably would say, based on the framework of Roll20, that there's probably about 5 to 7 different ways you could probably input this information. But the way I do it, and I'll show you, allows you to kind of make like waiting in the wings versions of these races. So if a player's like, hey, I want to play this specific type, you can just make a copy of it and hand them the sheet instead of fighting with all of the different class and race stuff all at once. So if that sounds interesting to you, stay tuned, because the video number 5 for marionettes, like I promised, will be how to get all of this info that seems pretty neat or at least I think it's pretty neat because I wrote most of it. But hey, creator bias and all that. At least I don't hate it. I mean, that's a whole different conversation about the hundreds of things I've made that I'm just get fed up with after a while. But I digress. Let's just shoot for, hopefully, getting a little tired. Shooting for, hopefully, let's say, by the end of the week, I should have a Roll20 how-to for this. Again, please take the time to like and subscribe if you enjoy me going through this stuff, or if there's anything that you'd like me to add, subtract, or, you could just tell me, hey, I hate your stuff. That's cool too. It's not super constructive, but hey, free world, right? So, if you like Stuff Guardian concepts and you like the way I'm going with this Marionette, just wait until I release all of the development diaries for the Menagerie of Souls, but that will be after the live play because I don't want to give away all the secrets. And for those players out there, this is just a fair warning. If you don't want Menagerie of Souls spoiled for you, please don't go through the development diaries. I really like stories, and so I'm one of those people that could go through stories over and over and over again and enjoy them. Like, my partner has told me hundreds and hundreds of times how much they don't like the fact that I can watch movies that I find really good stories in repeatedly. Like, I could probably watch, for instance, Sin City maybe once a day, every day, and not get bored of it. Because it's a great story. Anyway, like I said, if you're not like that and you don't want things spoiled for you, and you're a player, but you're interested in Menagerie of Souls, you could watch the live play because the live play is going to be from an omniscient player, or an omnipresent player's perspective. I'm going to create a specific player record account for the Menagerie of Souls, and that will see things from the player's point of view only. And so you'll get a rough concept of the story because every playthrough is going to be a little bit different. But there shouldn't be anything on the DM side that's getting spoiled for you. For all those DMs out there who are interested in running a total Marionette party with the Menagerie of Souls, feel free to dig into the development diaries after the fact. Like I said, I don't want to put out the development diaries until after the live play is done, for a couple of reasons. The live play is going to be like the final beta to release kind of playtest. And so the people who are playing that aren't just players, but they're also like my final QA for this information. And so I want to make sure I get through the whole thing so I can be like, all right, now with these development diaries, I can say, hey, this is complicated and this is not going to work. So here's the changes that I would suggest, or here's the changes that I'm going to make, and go on from there. Anyways, I have probably taken up way too much time with this video. Yeah, we're sitting at 13 minutes, which is a bit long, especially for a quick dev diary. So, yeah. Anyway, stay legendary, folks. And again, please try to like and subscribe. I'd like to get our subscriber account up a bit, and it really helps the algorithm so we can, share this content with more folks. All right. Later.